Hey everybody, my name is Mary Kelly and I am thrilled to be with my friend, former Navy SEAL, Jon Macaskill. Now, Jon has embarked on a new career and he is sharing his message of mindfulness and really being present in the moment to help people through crises, challenges, and changes that people are having all over the place right now. Today, I want to ask him a couple questions specifically on how he helps business leaders be better leaders for their teams, be better decision makers, and think more mindfully and thoughtfully, especially when, frankly, we're so busy running our business day-to-day things that we lose sight of big issues. So many of the people I work with are curious about mindfulness and what that looks like. So we thought we'd take this opportunity to first off explain what mindfulness is.
Absolutely. Mindfulness is being talked about all over the place these days. Mindfulness is being present in the here and now, not ruminating about the past or being too concerned about the future, worrying about the future. Ruminating about the past causes depression. Worrying about the future causes anxiety. We want neither of those. So mindfulness, being present, here and now, paying attention to what it is you're feeling in the here and now, physically and emotionally. Being present.
So Jon, you're not saying not to plan for the future. You're saying by being fully present in the present that we can be more effective. What does that look like?
Yeah, absolutely. That's actually one of the things I talk about often is the difference between planning for the future and worrying for the future. So being present, paying attention to what it is you're feeling emotionally and physically. Pausing, turning off the noise of the world, tuning out the social media, the email, the traffic, the notifications that we get. That's what helps us to be present. Present with our employees, present with our colleagues, present with our friends, our family. That's what mindfulness is.
So to me, Jon, you're talking a lot about eliminating distractions. And you and I are familiar with the term chaff. Chaff is a big distraction when you've got enemy things coming at you and you're releasing the chaff. It's a huge distraction to get the missiles diverted away from us. So really, you're diverting the missiles from impacting us in a negative way on a day-to-day basis.
Absolutely, yes. Those missiles, they're everywhere. And if we don't put that chaff out, then we are going to get hit by those distractions. So, some ways to do this. Meditation. Meditation is the formal practice where you set aside the time to actually sit down, stand, lay down, whatever the case may be, whatever's comfortable for you, and focus on some type of anchor. That might be a mantra, it might be your breath, it might be a body scan. If that doesn't work for you, then you can practice mindfulness itself. Mindfulness, again, is nothing more than being present in the here and now, paying attention to this present moment. You can do that by simply paying attention to a meal that's in front of you, simply paying attention to a conversation that you're having and not thinking about something else that's going to happen later or something that happened earlier, something that you screwed up before or something that you will screw up later. That is mindfulness. Those are the missiles that we want to eliminate.
So some of that, Jon, is things that we're already doing that maybe calm us down, make us feel more centered, help us think more clearly.
Again, focusing on a mantra, meditation, maybe just something as simple as box breathing, just taking a few breaths, noticing when you're starting to get stressed out, when you're starting to get distracted, and taking a few simple grounding breaths. That can bring you into that present moment and tune out those distractions, bring you into the present moment with a colleague, bring you into the present moment with a friend, with a family member. And that's going to change the way that you live your life. You're going to live that happier, healthier, more fulfilling, more stress-free life.
So I'm here to tell you I struggle with this. I struggle with the idea of getting rid of distractions, of being in the moment, because I'm always feeling like I'm rushing to the next thing, or I've got to be answering something and there's email and somebody's calling me and there's always the next thing. And I think a lot of us are in that space. But I'll tell you, Jon, that when you and I spend time together, I really feel like you are 100% focused on exactly what we're doing. And I know this doesn't just come with turning a switch. It literally is a practice. So how does somebody who's never done this before, how do people who are feeling overwhelmed and overstressed and overcommitted just start? How does anybody start?
Sure. I was there. I've been there myself. I have been, and I still can get wrapped up in the noise of the world. If you don't put in the work, you're going to get lost in that noise. So how to get started? It's very simple. Again, setting aside some time, putting it into your routine, intentionally implementing it into your routine. Again, a mindful meal, a couple of breaths here and there, a breath and move on, a Bama breath is what we call it. That's when you pause before you make a decision. You hear something, you see something that's going to cause maybe stress or anxiety, you take a breath before you make that decision and take an action based on that decision. That's where you start to really change your life. As far as calming down and kind of tuning out some of the noise that's in there in the future and the past, doing the meditations, that's the game changer. But it takes time. It's just like when you go to the gym. When you go to the gym, you don't see the effects in the mirror immediately. You put in 2, 3, 4 weeks, you may start to see a difference. You put in another 2 weeks, other people may start to see the difference. And then you actually start to see the difference in your life. You become a different person than you were before. But it takes work. It takes effort. It has to be intentional.
So many people also, John, they think, oh, this mindfulness idea, that's what people who have nothing else to do with their day are doing. They wake up and they meditate and they have yoga and then they meditate some more on mats, on a mountain with the sun behind them, and it's all very peaceful and tranquil. It's an absolute perfect situation.
Right.
But that's not your life. That's
Right.
not my life. That's not anybody's life. So how do people incorporate this when you're busy? Do you do this, like personally, do you do this in the morning,
Sure.
at night? Do you do it do you set your watch? Like, how do you get this into your life?
Yeah, great. There's actually a parable about that same thing where a monk was up in the mountains for years meditating in his cave, and he felt enlightened and at peace, and he went down into the village and he had something stolen from him, and he immediately lost his cool and was stressed out and was anxious. So he had not actually found this enlightenment. He had just been in an enlightened and peaceful area in his life. So how do we do that? How do I do that in my life? I have something else aside from my phone wake me in the morning. My alarm clock is not my phone, because I've found that if you use your phone as your alarm clock, you roll over, you turn off the alarm clock, and the first thing you start doing is checking emails, your bank accounts, your social media, everything except being in that present moment. You are immediately in a reactive stance from the get-go. So I personally use something different. I go take care of my bio needs, and then I go and I meditate. I have become a meditator because I've practiced, so I can do it on my own without guidance. Now, many use the phones to guide them through meditation. If that is in fact the case, if they want to use a phone, I recommend that they put their meditation apps on a separate page on their phone from everything else, so that they can actually get there without getting distracted. Because again, as soon as you pick up that phone, even if you have everything else turned off, as soon as you pick up that phone to start meditating and you find your email has a little bubble that shows you that there's a new email, you're going to get distracted and you're not going to want to meditate. And before you know it, now you're out of time. You've wasted that time that you did have, and you think that you're too busy to meditate. No, you've just not been focused enough, not been intentional enough.
I'm pretty sure I've done all of that. That's fantastic.
We all do.
Hey, thank you so much for your time today, John. It was such a
you.
pleasure having you here, and can't wait for us to chat again.